This morning, we are looking at some of the biggest risks the world faces in the new year, according to the Eurasia Group. It's a leading geopolitical risk and consulting firm. Basically, they help rich people and big companies figure out the world, and they've just released the annual list of the biggest risks the world faces. It says the number one concern in 2025 is a world in which, you've heard of the G7, G8, the G0 wins. That's the idea that we could be in an era with a total lack of international leadership where, quote, no powers drive a global agenda and maintain international order. No one's at the wheel. The president and founder of the Eurasia Group is Ian Bremmer, and he joins us now. Ian, good morning.
Good to be back with you.
Very dire.
A driverless world,
Yeah.
basically, and not in a good way. You say this is a uniquely dangerous period in world history comparable to the 30s and the early Cold War. Why?
Well, it's a return to the law of the jungle, where the powerful do what they will, and the weak do what they must, and no one's really protecting them. And a G0 world is very aligned with also an America First world. I mean, the United States is very powerful. You look at its allies right now, and so many of those governments are in disarray. You saw what happened with Trudeau, of course, South Korea, Germany, France. They're all playing defense. They're all saying, look, just don't talk about me. Just don't tweet about me, whatever you do. And so they're playing defense. The Americans are not saying we want to be the global leader. They're saying we want to set rules that benefit us. And we're going to go and talk to all of those leaders, and we'll put tariffs on them if we have to. We'll hit them hard unless they do what we want. Works well. There'll be a lot of wins for Trump in this environment. But from a global perspective, where so many of our opportunities and our challenges are international, you don't have anyone steering, anyone driving that bus.
What role do you think Elon Musk plays here? He is not an elected leader, but he seems to be quickly becoming a very powerful force on the world stage and seems to be weighing in on many key issues that are facing the United States and the world.
Well, for
How
now,
do you navigate that?
For now, he seems to be the bomb thrower in chief of the United States. I mean, he's the one out there with 200 million followers, saying that the UK government has to be overthrown, that the AfD, the Eurosceptic far-right Alternatives for Deutschland, they should be in charge of Germany. American allies are panicked about this. They're right now in crisis talks about what they can do, and what they can do could include actually putting some restraints on Twitter X. But at the same time, they're deeply concerned, well, if he's that close to Trump, is that going to affect our relationship? Is he speaking for them? Is Twitter X a part of the military-industrial complex of the United States? Are they a national champion? It's hard to imagine that Elon would be making all of these statements if Trump wasn't okay with them.
Okay, and speaking of Trump, he is set to take office in just under 2 weeks, and you and your team have put his return as the second biggest risk of 2025. What about his presidency is so risky?
Well, it's not that he's going to fail. It's more that he has consolidated so much more power this time around than in 2017, both compared to his allies and his adversaries. The Chinese economy is in real trouble. Russia's in serious decline. Iran is falling apart right now. They've lost their empire in the Middle East. But also the fact that the GOP is now riding Trump's coattails, not the other way around. All of the people around him are directly loyal to Trump. So if you've got a problem with what Trump is saying, you don't get to go to the Secretary of State or go to the head of the USTR and say, hey, let's work this out. It's Trump way
So
or
you're
the
saying
highway.
it's less about him failing and more about him succeeding in his agendas?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the tariffs he says he's going to put on, I think he's going to put them on. Washington Post had this leak yesterday morning saying, oh, they're not going to be that tough. He immediately posted over the top and said, no, I'm going to go ahead with what I said. He's going to take 1 million, illegals out of the United States, deport them in the first year. You should take that as a serious policy that is going to come. And the impact of that on inflation in the United States, for example, on, consumption in the United States, those things are real. Those things are real.
Ian, before you go, I want to talk about AI. It was a top risk last year.
Yeah.
It's still a top risk. AI on bound, number 8. What's your worry?
AI is a fantastic technology, and I'm really excited about what it means for human capital and industrial innovation, but we are not regulating it in a way that is keeping up with the innovation. In fact, last year, the UK wanted to plant their flag in AI by saying we're going to have an AI safety summit. This year, it is now being rebranded as an AI action summit because they're worried that, you know, they need to get to be a part of the game.
Yeah.
Trump is going to undo the Biden executive order on AI. And so, you know, do you think we're going to have an AI arms race between the U.S. and China, like we did with the Soviets and the nukes in the early Cold War? We're also going to see bad actors using some of these AI models in ways that we're not comfortable with.
A lot to
We
follow
appreciate
there.
you, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
See you guys.